On today's episode, we have Mr. MPS 2002, Oliver Duck and MultiGreenThunder battling it out. I'm your host, TrainKing James, and this is Thomas Battle.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the new and improved Thomas Battles. I am your host, TrainKing James, and today I've brought 3 guests with the theme of first today for these guests. So, as someone who was in the first Thomas Battles that I actually competed in, it's the one, the only, our favorite Fat Controller, Oliver Duck Tech.
Hello there, children.
Our next person today we have is someone who it's actually their first time on Thomas Battles. And I want you guys to give up some thunder, get some loud cheers for Multi.
Hello, everyone! I'm so honored to be here. Much like a lot of viewers watching right now, I've watched these videos to death. Like, Thomas Battles was my favorite series on before we relaunched it, and I'm just so honored to be here, to be a part of this. I'm ready to have a blast and get some good discussions going.
All right. And our last guest today, he was the first host of the original Thomas Battles. And we are proud to have him here with us today as a sort of passing the torch type thing. Everybody give a nice round of applause for Mr. MPS 2002.
Hi.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
It's me. Hi, everyone.
2002!
Hello. How we doing? How we doing tonight? It's great to be
He's
here.
home.
I'm picturing, like in sports events where they hold the massive signs, like just giant signs saying 2002 on them.
And I just come up to the mic. Hi.
All right. So, today's Thomas Battles will be focusing around Thomas Wooden Rally. Figured, this is the relaunch of community radio, and what better way to start with Thomas Wooden Rally themed questions. So, without further ado, let's get into our first question. So
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes. Our first question here today. What is the best year of TWR? And we'll start with you, Ted. Just your opening statement.
So, I'm going to go with 1999.
1999. 1999, my birth year. All right.
My birth year as well, but let's keep that out of it. That's no reason.
Yeah.
So, the reasoning, there's kind of 2 lines of reasoning I'd like to explain why 1999 is the best year. And I'll go down those lines of reasoning separately. So, the first line of reasoning was that it's Roy Wilson's last year as actively involved as the major figure in the engineering side and production side of the wooden railway. So because of that, it has kept to its original feel. It's kept to its original values, and it's kept to its original charm and image, which is the thing that I think attracts myself and most people to it. I'll go into further describing those charm and images and highlight why they're present in full force in 1999 and start diminishing soon after.
Okay. Sorry, Ted.
No, of course. I don't know how long you want me to give my case.
Yeah, just a quick statement. All right. Multi, we're moving on to you. What is your opinion, the best year of TWR?
Well, this is definitely not my birthday year. I'm going to go with 2001.
Okay.
In my opinion, 2001 is the pinnacle year of the Thomas Wooden Railway. You had the classic old-style flavor and the classic charm of the old stuff, which had still mostly the designs that were there at the start, with the only major change being the new plastic funnels that were introduced a year prior, which I don't think I've ever heard a single person ever complain about those things, even with how much the community is usually against plastic. There are a lot of great new items like Derek and Wilbur, but more so, it's a bigger deal that this is the last year you get some of the most loved classic items. How many times do we say in reviews that something's last year on the market with 2001? It really felt like a best of everything sort of year. It was also the last year before the major change. Redesigned engines, different direction, and the departure of clickety-clack track. It was the last year what made TWR the symbol it was, and it holds a special place in my and many people's hearts.
All right. MPS, what is your year?
Well, it's funny. We got 1999 and we got 2001. So I figure why not hop smack dab in the middle and say 2000.
Really?
You
So we
know,
have
I like
consecutive
that.
years. This is
We
going to
got-
be interesting. This is
we-
going to be interesting.
we got a great selection of new items. We have an amazing selection of existing items. And it's really just, honestly, a combination of those two things that Multi and Ted described. You know, can I, since we've had our opening statements, can I kind of just like, can I kind of just go into it? I've got kind of like a bullet pointed list here that I want to like emphasize
Go ahead.
a little.
All right, so you guys can dive in, starting with MPS.
Okay, so first off, we got an amazing selection of new items. We got the all-new Thomas and the Magic Railroad items. We got Lady, we got Diesel 10, we got Splatter and Dodge, we got the Thomas and the Magic Railroad 5-car value pack, and we got the Muffle Mountain set. We've got all sorts of new items that are now classics that we look back on very fondly, like Rickety and Bertram with scrap cars in the fire station. We got the grain loader, and without that, we wouldn't be able to make fun of P-Cray as much as we do nowadays. We got the battery-powered engines, which were first introduced then. We got all sorts of great stuff like that.
All right. Multi, do you have a counter argument to any one of them?
Basically, I can say, I gotta say, if you like, bringing up the Magic Railroad items was a great point and such. And I will, to your credit, say also that's when the plastic films were introduced. But I feel like 2001 is just that and more. Like, you got new items introduced. The only tweak was that they added a gold dome to James, which I think makes it the definitive James out of all of them. But I just feel like it was just a bigger version of what 2000 brought to the table. Because, I mean, at this point, you just had more engines, more destinations, and like I said, it was like a last hurrah. And I feel like it was also a little more consistent because you had like the names at the bottom. Everything just felt a little cleaner. I feel like if you were to think of like the prime year for Wind Railway, if you could go back in time and go to any year, if you were like going to, it's like say you go in a time machine and you're going to just go to a store and just stockpile as many items as you get, you'd want to pick 2001 because that would be your best opportunity to get everything. Because I think it's pretty much the opportunity to get the best of the best as far as what the Wind Railway brand had to offer.
All right, Ted, do you have anything to say?
Yes, well, in 1999, the whole core heart and soul of the Wooden Railway was still there, and it was before certain items came in that diluted that, and items that had large amounts of plastic that were obscene, like one of my worst items, in my opinion, the box cars is a prime example for what started in 2000 to sort of reduce the overall charm and character of the box cars having a lot of plastic and being unrealistic colors are a sore thumb in the year 2000. And that's the general direction of the line. And the thing like Roy Wilson only ever designing the Thomas in metal and having the people who came after designing James and Percy as repaints of the Thomas model was just a clear underlying laziness of the line after the year 1999. And general degradation started in the year 2000, which in my mind polluted both 2000 and 2001.
Wow. All right, MPS, what do you have to say to that?
Well, I have to say that Ted is a liar and a bad man, and he should not be listened to. You know why? Ted can talk about 2000, he can talk about the plastic and the degradation and all sorts of big words like that. But I have a trump card here. I have something that will absolutely win. Because not only do we have a bunch of really cool new items, we've also got some great existing items that, like, you know, we've got a combination of great new items and great existing items. But also, if you look on the back cover of the 2000 yearbook, there's a dog, a really cute dog, and he's holding a piece of wooden railway track in his mouth. And god damn if that's not just the cutest thing ever. I mean, go on the Thomas Wooden Railway wiki and look up the 2000 yearbook. There's a golden retriever, and he's got a curve track in his mouth, and it is quite simply the most adorable thing ever.
I think that's probably the reason why Thomas sales are down nowadays is because they don't have enough dogs on their advertisements.
Thank you. Another point.
That's why Paw Patrol is beating us, everyone!
But if I could reply to that point, it's showing the destruction and destruction of the line. And the running code
Okay,
shortly narrate that it's talking about a policy which isn't in existence today. So you're saying the key underlying positive factor is reminding me of a policy which I cannot use. It says guaranteed for life. If I send it in the slip like it's saying me to do there, I would not be able to get it fixed. Even I have items that would be fixed, trust me, if I could right now with this policy. So when I look at that dog, I just remember the sliding future of the line and how they negated on that promise.
Yeah, but look how cute he is. Look at his smile. Look how happy he is to have that piece of clickety-clack track in his mouth. If you, James, I just want you to know that if you don't give me the win for this, then you will be forever known as someone who hates dogs.
I just see the child. I just see the child in tears looking at that dog.
I'd like to say, to make a continuing of my point, how 2001 had that and more, 2001 also had the dog. That dog's chewing on that track for a long time.
I just see the children walking up to their favorite train and seeing their dog destroying it.
Multi, you lie.
And then coming today, trying to make wooden railway videos, trying to get it redeemed in warranty. And they find out that that policy doesn't exist. And I just think of the sorrow. I'm sorry, I'm getting personal situation.
Sorry, I'm thinking of the Early Learning Center handbook. My apologies. Instead, we get freaking Connect the Dots or Top Hat and Henry's Hunt for words.
So basically, I have nothing else to say. My sum up for my argument is Thomas and the Magic Railroad items, grain loader, making fun of Thomas Wooden Railway, and dog.
All right. Multi, what's your closing statement?
Basically, I mean, like I said, it's best of everything. I mean, pretty much any tribute point, because a lot of items introduced in 99 and 2000 were still available in 01. It was just your last chance to get them. So, like I said, it was just a continuation of what's great and more.
All right.
And I closed it.
Oh, sorry, Multi. Were you not done?
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Yep.
Actually, I'm so sorry. I have one more thing to add on that I just realized.
Go ahead.
In addition to the dog, the 2000 was also the year that the 100-piece set was introduced, which is considered by many to be the greatest Thomas Wooden Railway set of all time.
You said in 2000 the 100-piece set was introduced?
Wait, sorry, I meant the 100-piece Magic Railroad set.
Oh, okay.
Magic
I
Railroad
just wanted to
set,
clarify.
yes.
Okay. Ted, last point.
1999 was the year Scotsman was introduced.
Oh.
It was the year the Northwestern Brake Van was introduced.
Can I make a counter?
Go ahead.
No, I'm in the middle of my statement.
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry.
Go ahead. Keep going.
The year 1999 was the last year we had a bulldog fighting for the values, fighting for the design decisions that most of us today still value. And after that, we saw what would later be spread throughout the brand, moving towards lower cost items and materials that would lead to the degradation we see today. 99 was the last year I can look at the line and not be troubled with the signs of bad that would infest the whole line.
All right.
Can I make one last counter argument to Ted?
All right,
before we
one
close?
last counter argument, and then I'm going to give my thoughts. There's something I want to bring up.
Ted brings up Scotsman and all these characters introduced in 99. 2001, you could still get those just without having to be scared to death of Y2K. There's that.
Oh, yeah, because everyone out there is going to understand the Y2K references.
Come on, our viewers are old enough, right? Right?
All right, so after reviewing the arguments, I do want to bring up something. So, Ted, you mentioned the unconditionally guaranteed for life thing ended in 1999, correct?
No, I mentioned the fact that when you look at the year 2000, I was just a counter argument to the dog that did
Oh,
not
I
end
get
in
it, yeah.
1999.
All right.
That was
I
just saying the dog was a positive thing. Then I'm saying it's a negative thing because when I look at the dog, I see how that policy doesn't apply,
Did you
and I
hear
see
that,
what
everyone?
railway items being destroyed for their children.
You hear that, everyone? Ted just said that dogs are a negative thing.
When they're eating my
Ooh,
wood railway
yikes,
track, they're
that's
negative.
rough.
Ooh,
Ted hates
Take that,
That's
dogs.
All
man's
right.
best
Mic drop.
friend right there.
Ooh.
When they
This
destroy
was
my
a-
trains, any dog. Do you see what happened to Ryan's trains recently? Or was that Ryan? There was someone who had a Rosie. Can't remember
Oh, yeah,
who, and
that
was
was.
just
I felt really bad.
obliterated with by
Oh, I slept.
dogs are
Yeah, but it's
dangerous for
Rosie.
people.
Remember
Oh,
Damien's video he did with like he put up the eBay listing picture of like the cargo ship and stuff. That
Okay,
was
we're getting off topic.
yeah, we
James,
are really getting off track. And this, all right. So this round has gone on for a while, and I did a lot of thinking, and it was a lot of back and forth because these years are really all neck and neck. And when when it really came down to it, man, it's really hard. Um, the people, so Ted had me a lot with a lot of the emotional stuff and bringing up the Roy Wilson stuff of 99 was the last year the Wooden Rally in a sense had some integrity. And Multi was bringing up, hey, you can have these great things from the 90s and 2000 in my year too. So you can have all of that and more. And I think the thing that's got me with Multi's argument, though, that I would wish he had really went into more detail with, was the and more thing. Like I wanted to hear more about. I know I can get Scotsman. Like Ted told me the things I can get in 2000. MPS told me, 99. MPS told me 2000. You never really told me, besides, I think you brought up Derek and Wilbert, but I really want to hear more. Because
That makes
Derek and Wilbert compared to, it's not, you got to give me more, something to convince me. So with all the yo-yoing and these years, this was a pretty close argument, but I have to give the first point to Ted because he managed to take the dog, something that was supposed to be positive advertisement, and spin it around to make the year look bad in a way that was very creative.
Ooh.
And I'll be honest, if it was me, like if I was in this round, I would have said 2001 too. So, this was really
hates
close.
dogs.
Eat your heart out,
Heard
Watson.
it here first. Yeah, James hates
Watson
Watson and all golden
can say that I
retrievers.
love dogs. So that's all I got to say. All right. So this next question is a bit more of an inventive question, and it is: pitch to me the next TWR destination. And we'll start with you, MPS, since you went last round.
All right. Let me drop something on you all here. Let me drop it on you. Let me flip it. Let me reverse it. Let me get it all up in that thing. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, if I'm being honest. So I'm just gonna say that my item is the slate mine because God damn it, that needs to exist.
Why did they never make that?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Fair play.
It's
That's
in
a
the
good. Yeah, that's a good.
It's in the 2006 yearbook, and it's also in the 2009 yearbook. It's in the the Ultimate Island of Sodor set that we built, and we were like, oh man, it'd be cool if we could have the slate mine here, but it just doesn't exist. So I'm going to say that we need to make the slate mine. The slate mine, as it appears in the yearbook, it looks like it's like a raised destination with some sort of conveyor belt type situation. You load a slate cargo piece to the top, you push the button, the cargo piece drops down into a cargo car. The cargo car then goes down a piece of ascending track into like a specialized, not just a pair of buffers, like a specialized track piece that has like a stopper that flips up and down. And I think that would be a really, really cool item to have because it's in the yearbooks. We know it exists, but they just never released it for some reason.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ted, you can go next.
Well, for me, we never had really an integrated dockyard system before. We've always had these kind of single items that if you put 10 items together, you get something that might relate to a dockyard, but a destination that would be able to have a stand-on crane that's attached to this wooden platform, 2 tracks, as well as areas for ships to mount. And it would be a system that would allow you to use a crane to move cargo from ships onto the dockyard or into one of 2 lines of the track through either a fixed crane on the dock side or a rolling crane along the tracks.
So what you're kind of pitching is like a random crane you'd put to the side, and you'd have 2 tracks connected to it, and you'd have a dock behind it, so you can load up ships and load up 2 engines, right? That's what I'm
Yes, it's almost a combination of several items. So it could be either a cranky that you add fixed on the dock. So if you had a cranky fixed on the dock, if cranky was fixed to a dock side where he could access ships, and right next to 2 pieces of tracks that would be built in the system, and there would be a place for you to wheel along those kind of external overhead cranes that could wheel along a track. But if you had a track for that, one of those over 2 line cranes, and have a place for ships to come in and out, but basically just a central dockyard piece that would either include or help integrate the several destinations we have into one singular destination, something that can integrate your rolling crane, your cranky, your ships, and actually make them a system to bring those pieces together and work together, as opposed to trying to just roll them along on carpet all independently.
Yeah. All right, I get it now. All right, because I was trying to figure out what you were describing, and at first I thought that sounds like something that kind of exists, but it sounds like you're taking bits of things like the dock from what's the set with Laurie 1 from the early 2000s?
Yeah, so if you were to expand that dock piece and make it so that it's built into 2 pieces of tracks, has a place for you to add your cranky to it, has a place for you to add your double track overhead crane.
Got it.
Gantry
so it's
crane.
like a mix of like a gantry / cargo crane with a dock piece that's 2 tracks wide. All right.
Yes, and a place for you to put your cranky into it.
Got it.
All right, for mine is going to be a location that is actually very iconic in the show, but it was only very iconic in 1 season, honestly. And that is, I would propose a Kirk Ronan destination. I think there would be a lot of potential. For one, it was pretty much the Nafford replacement in season 5. Like, it was, you never even saw Nafford. I mean, this was like their go-to station. So it's a very memorable location, especially seeing as how it wasn't seen ever again after the fact. So it's one of the more unique aspects of the season. But in regards to the actual station, just imagine the play appeal that the kids and us alike would just adore. I mean, you ram Gordon to a wall, and unlike, say, Henry's Tunnel, where it's a square piece, if they actually had it molded to be shaped like Gordon's smoke box and funnel, which would be a really easy thing for them to do. It wouldn't be too complicated. It'd be like a unique piece, and then you could just sit Gordon. I would say maybe have either make it to where, like, the grooves where the track is, maybe have it, like, at the bottom of the set. I would have, like, a track that would probably be fixed into it, and then have it go a little bit past to where it doesn't look like track anymore, just the grooves, and then either have it slope up or just kind of go straight to where you could just push the engine into the hole and go from there. Yeah, the wheels be sticking out, but that'd be okay.
Yeah. All right, that's a really interesting. So we have Kirk running a special dockyard destination in the slate mine. So, I want to hear y'all talk to me a bit more about the destinations. Talk to me about more, like, what do they come with? Like, for example, if they come with a piece of rolling stock, I want to hear about that. So, MPS, go into a bit more detail about your slate mine.
So I'm gonna say that the slate mine is gonna come with something that will really set it apart from other destinations, because it's not just gonna come with like a normal ass cargo piece of cargo, because Lord knows that there's enough wooden railway destinations and sets that just come with Sodor Cargo Co. yellow box and black cargo car. This is gonna come with like a special, like I don't know, personalized, but like a customized slate truck. Like we see the slate cars so many times in the TV series, like the weird looking slate cars with the gaps in them. but we've
Yeah.
never gotten an actual wooden railway slate car. And I think it'd be really cool if we got a slate car with like a specialized face, and then also a specialized piece of slate cargo that clearly like stands out on its own from the other just random ass just boxes. So this will be like a specialized, specific thing that is clearly specifically for the slate mine.
All right.
And also, like I said,
oh.
it'll have the ascending track with the flip-up stopper as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. Ted, talk to me more about the docks.
Well, if it would be able to have an original piece of rolling stock, it would be something like a double cargo car, a bogeyed cargo car, which would be able to hold two cargoes and be able to stack cargoes, and kind of an ultra cargo car.
Are you talking about like a longer cargo car, kind of like it would look like a flatbed from the show almost, right? Is what you're trying to say?
Exactly, a long flatbed which would be able to have two cargoes.
Oh.
And of course, you could play around with what cargoes it is. And a destination that's so significant for loading cargoes, to have a very original and unique thing with that basic concept of cargo cars would allow it to go very far and do some cool things. And it would be essential for it because with the dock destination, you actually have lots of places. It's not just... The great thing about the dock destination, it allows you to integrate several systems together, but then use those systems in coordination. You can load something onto the quay from the boat. You can move it to Cranky, who can move it into a train. Or you could put a destination next to it and have those two interact. It allows you to have a play system that would adapt and change, and something that would really drive children's imagination and storytelling with it. And a double long cargo car that would have two cargoes would just enhance that and allow further free-form play with it.
All right, Multi, talk to me about Kirk Ronan.
Okay, so what I want to say, because I was playing around with, I was thinking about whether this should be like the old school Knapford Station, where they only kind of have one of the sections as opposed to two, but by this point in the later years, Knapford Station got bigger, so I think both areas of Kirk Ronan will be fine, even if it's downsized any. However, let me talk here. As far as exclusivity in this set goes, I want to be realistic here, because, like, a lot of times they unfortunately wouldn't give us very exclusive items. However, here's the thing. They already released a better view for Gordon, I believe 06 or so. And so this would give them the opportunity to just reuse that item, integrate it into this set, and then as an exclusive item, which I'm sure a lot of people be very sought out after, I would include Spencer's special coach in this, because it looks very drastically similar to the coaches used in Season 5, the red coaches you saw Gordon constantly pulling around throughout the season. So I would include Gordon and one of those coaches. You'd get a very popular character with the kids. You get a nice exclusive item and a set with with good visuals and a lot of play value.
All right. So I want you all to kind of talk for a couple of minutes about why your destination is 100% better than what everybody else has here.
Well, I'm going to be honest. Everybody had a very good choice. These are all really cool ideas. And I would love to own all of these.
I'd buy all these twice.
However, the slate mine is the best one. And let me say why. So Ted, do you really want to add another dock thing? My God, the Thomas Wooden Railway already has so much dockside stuff. We've got the entire Down by the Dock set. We've got the lighthouse bridge. We've got the rolling gantry cranes. We've got all that stuff. Like, you could make what you're describing. You could probably just make it just with individual items. You wouldn't need a specific piece for that. Like, I feel like it's a cool idea, but I feel like you could just make it on your own, except for the double cargo car thing. But then you could just put two cargo cars together. And the Kirk Ronan thing it's interesting, but this might sound very pedantic, but I don't know if it would sell. Like, kids would look at Kirk Ronan and be like, Kirk Ronan, I don't know what that is. And then they go, the slate mine, that sounds really cool. Look, it's got the ascending track and it's this customized troublesome truck. Like, I don't think Kirk Ronan's very marketable.
I think you make a valid point there. However, I do think it has pretty good size. Like, because what is so popular with the kids? Like, one of the most popular thing above all in Thomas. Like, why do the crash videos get so many views? Kids love to crash things, and this would be one of the only sets that actually has a prominent crash feature. Like, that's like the biggest value draw of the set. It's like you can literally crash an engine through a wall, and you could maybe on the box make it like a big thing of it. Maybe add some little cartoon effects to it to such. Matt, I think your item is I would be so hyped to own this. However, one thing I do have to say is a counter argument to it. For whatever reason, it was rejected. For some reason, they felt like this would not sell. And I'm not quite sure as to why, but this was an idea that was tossed out. I wish they released it, but for some reason they didn't see that it would sell.
All right, Ted, get in there.
So my thoughts on my rebuttal to MPS's comments in particular is that there is so many dockyard destinations, but the thing that's always frustrated me is that there's never been a good way to integrate it in something that feels like a cohesive dockyard. This is the thing that integrates all of the baffling problems of too much together. There's so many little things that frustrate us about each one of those destinations not being able to integrate properly together, and this solves all of that. And the thing I want to highlight is I think being able to do that will allow the most free-form play and most experience for children growing up with this item. It allows this is going to be the catalyst, the thing that encourages and motivates children to tell their own story and create a destination that really works for them. The thing with Kirk Ronan is we have plenty of similar large stations, and it only appears for a limited time in the TV series.
Yeah, Kirk Ronan's only in one season.
It's only in one season. At least the slate mines appear more frequently. But the problem with the slate mines is there's kind of 2 points I want to say. MPS kind of cheaped out by going with an item which is already created instead of creating his own item to argue here. I could have gone with one of Roy Wilson's prototypes that he never released. But apart from that, it's still not necessarily something that might allow for free-formed story ideas, as much as I would say the dockyard would facilitate.
One thing I would like to say in regards to Kirk Ronan's brief appearance, that is a very valid point that was seen so shortly. However, I would also like to bring mention to Accidents Will Happen is probably the most popular Thomas music video of them all, and the grand finale of it is Gordon crashing into Kirk Ronan. Lots of kids recognize that crash. You could even name the set Kirk Ronan Crash Set. It's got a little bit of literacy there, you know? That's my point.
Hold on. Vamp for time for a second, James. I'm gonna do some fact checking here really quick.
All right.
Multi made a claim, and I don't know if I believe it or not.
Well, what do you research in my claim? You think? Because I see Accidents Will Happen remakes are by far the most popular of all the remakes I see.
Then again, it's something that I wouldn't expect the average one to do online, and it's nothing near, especially in the era we're talking about it being released. Even you yourself said it was something that would come out when it was appeared on the TV show earlier. It's not applied. It was a very separate point. Was today we have YouTube videos that are viewed like that. It wasn't then.
Okay, Multi said that he thinks that the Accidents Will Happen music video is the most popular one. The Accidents Will Happen music video on the official Thomas channel has 7.9 million views. The Monsters Everywhere music video has 24 million views. So
That
Multi's just lying.
Well, I bet, I can't say for sure, that is a good fact there, Matt. But I would like to say, I believe if you were to compile all of the views that have ever been for Accidents Will Happen themed videos, I'm pretty sure it would be at the top, even above, say, Thomas Anthem or the Engine Roll Call.
I think
because
we're getting
everyone gravitates to
repetitive on this
crashes.
point. I think
No,
it's move on.
here's the thing, Multi, you're actually disproving your own point. Because the fact that there's so many Accidents Will Happen music videos with that clip shows that you don't need the station to do that video. People are clearly able to just do it on their own without needing this own special custom item for it.
It's
All
about,
right.
but also gimmicky. It's a one-trick wonder.
Well, I would
All
go
right,
that.
so just closing arguments before we got to keep this nice and brief. So
Yeah, you're right. We got to keep going.
Agreed.
I definitely think I have a winner, but you guys can close out real quick. Just summarize.
Okay, I'll go first, just for really quick. Slate line, it's a cool item. It's a unique thing, and you get a custom truck and cargo piece.
All right. Multi.
Kirk Ronan. It's got lots of feel. It's both realistic and thrilling for the kids. It's got good exclusive items that were actually available at the time.
All right, and Ted.
The integrated dockyard piece will allow you to integrate all your dockyard destinations and track into one cohesive location, which would allow the best freeform play and story idea creation.
All right. So, first of all, I just want to say these are all great destinations that I would love to own. I think most people would want to own. So, this was an interesting round because there was at one point I would think, okay, this person has the edge, and then somebody else would say something like, oh yeah, you're right, you have a point. And for a while, I was siding with Multi. But then MPS kind of got you at the end about the Kirk Ronan thing, and maybe not, you don't necessarily need it. And Ted said the one-trick pony thing. So they really got you on that point. So it really came down to Ted and MPS. And I think the person who edged it out just a bit more was MPS. Because with Ted, technically this is a cool destination, but a lot of the stuff, minus the longer cargo piece, does already exist. You could technically make it. Like, I could take a rolling gantry crane, I could take a dock, and I could, I could use 2 cargo cars and do basically the same thing. And it would accomplish the same goal. With MPS's destination, I mean, that's something that doesn't exist. Like, you guys got a multi, big stations do exist, there's the big state, you have Nafford, you have Vickerstown, but the docks, you have the cargo crane, you have an actual dock piece, you have the rolling gantry crane, you have all these cranes and stuff. So I'm going to give the point to MPS for that one.
Well fought, everyone. Well fought.
Thank you. That was a
Matt.
great discussion there. And I gotta say, Matt, I think yours was definitely the most unique out of all of us. There's not lame stuff like it.
And Ted was right. I did cheese it a little bit, but
I do say you did have the superior item. I was just trying to get the win.
Yeah. All right. So our next question is, what is the best TWR yearbook layout? So for this question, when I asked them, this is the yearbook layouts that are exclusive to the yearbook. So it's those last few layouts in the yearbook that are saying, hey, if you have this set and you get these extra pieces, you can make this set. Or in the 90s, if you have these destinations and this track, you can make this set. So we're going to start off with Ted with the yearbook layout.
So, my ideal yearbook layout... Sorry, I'm just getting back to it now. I had it. Do you mind if you start with someone else?
Sure. MPS, you go.
Bet. All right. My best Thomas Wooden yearbook layout, I was really torn between this and one other one because there's so many really great layouts at the back of the yearbook. So I am going to go with the Thomas Pulls Into the Station set, or layout from the 1997 yearbook. Do you want me to go into it more, or do you want me to give, somebody else?
I think you can stop there for now. All right, Multi, you can go with yours.
Okay, for me, I'm going to go with Unnamed page 14 of the year 2000 yearbook, which, as we've learned today, is the best year apparently.
All right.
No, yeah, on 2000.
Throw it up on screen.
Yes, we will pull this up on screen, and
Yeah, it'll be on screen.
it's unnamed for some reason. They really cheaped out, I guess. No reason why 2001's better. I mean, I kid. Anyways, this one I'm gonna go with is, it's a really cool looking item here. You got both a sawmill and a log loader. Now, granted, you're probably already a pretty cool kid if you own both of those together. I mean, those are a little pricey, but I mean, just turn them into a set, and you're the kid everyone's gonna want to go hang out with. You got a cranky in it, and you got a bridge, and I will bring more points to it as we go on.
All right. So, Ted, what was your yearbook set?
I can't believe it, but I picked the same one as Multi, except for the only difference is I was taking mine from the 1999 yearbook, and that's on a different page 31.
Let me double check.
Does that have a name that year?
Wow.
It does not have a name that year, but it's the same exact set.
It's literally the same one.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I haven't looked at yours, but from your description, it's exactly the set I'm looking at.
I'm looking
All right, so
right
we
now.
have an interesting thing going on here, folks. So Multi and Ted could opt to work together and each earn a point if they win, or MPS can, or they can argue alone, argue it out better. And if they do decide to work together, MPS will have the opportunity to earn 2 points instead of 1, since he'll be going 2v1. They can argue it alone, and they can argue the same thing, and whoever can argue it better will win, or one of them can quickly pick a new yearbook layout. So it's up to them right now.
Well, Ted, MPS is leading us by 2. Together?
No, he's not.
Wait, no,
He's not. Just clarifying that.
Yeah,
He's-
it's
he's tied with me
1-1-0
with
right now.
Oh, sorry, Ted. I forgot you won the first round. My apologies.
I did win the first round.
No, I won the leading by 2. Yeah, he's right.
Nah, not my show.
And this is why I'm not the host, ladies and gentlemen.
This is why I write things down.
So was there an option to argue separately and just still do 1-1-1 points?
Yes, you can argue separately, and you guys can argue the same set still, and you can both argue it, but you cannot use the same points that the other person did, or one of you can pick another set.
So I'm leaning towards the 1-1-1 argument style Multi. If
That is fine. Every man for himself.
So you
Every
guys are
man
going to
for
argue the
himself?
same set, but you're going to do it differently.
yes,
Yep.
All
Here we
right.
are.
So we have unnamed 99/2000 layout versus Thomas pulls into the station. All right, this is going to be interesting.
Well,
All right, so we'll start with MPS since he's the underdog here.
Well, first of all, mine actually has a name, so you know. But apart from that, my set has so many. I mean, your guys' set is cool. Don't get me wrong. You got the sawmill, you got the log loader, you got Cranky, you got the Sodor Bay Bridge. But my set has so many different specific types of things. We got the Ellsbridge Station. We got the special engine shed. We got the lift bridge. We got the double wide old iron bridge. And of course, we got the 2-lane Knapford Station. Like, how cool is it to see the 2-lane Knapford Station in a layout in the yearbook? That's just so cool. Plus, we got a raised T-switch on the stacking overhead railway risers, which just, I mean, how cool is that?
Can I ask who the lucky kid is who got Ada, Jane, and Mabel? That's really drawing me in that layout. So,
yeah, dude. That's. I mean, I don't know if I really want to count the train specifically on the layout.
Yeah,
I'm more
I
talking
wouldn't
about
count the
just
trains.
the track layout. But I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
That is a beautiful set. All right, so Multi or Ted, whoever wants to go can go.
can I go next?
Sure ahead.
So there's two main points I would like to argue this. I am going to be sensitive. I'm not going to try to take everything from Multi since I am
Thank you,
going
Ted.
first. But the 2 points I would like to condense my argument around is one, the geometric configuration of the top right of having the Bay Bridge T with cranky at the T, and having both height elements on either side of that, with the track going underneath the middle. So that kind of interesting geometric arrangement with the Bay Bridge leaning cranky is one of my core things I want to talk about. To flush that out a bit more, it's the element of that. It creates a dock situation that we don't see in any other set, where we have this element of height around the harbor, an element of a harbor, and still a track going under a bridge, which tracks going under the bridge are seen throughout the series, and having that integrated into a harbor with the T at the harbor creates an atmosphere which I really don't think we've seen. That kind of, it's the feeling that's generated from just looking at this formation is just an aura of amazement, in my opinion. And I don't want to hog this second point here from Multi, because this is a core of the set. So I think it almost will be best to share this point. But the fact that, but I didn't argue it from a certain angle, so I let him argue from different angles. But he argued about the double wood destinations. So you have these two wood-related destinations right next to each other, and then they're right next to the harbor. So you can take wood from the destinations and ship it right to the harbor. It feels like an operating lumber railway. And that is a very strong, it has this the character of it is very wood to harbor oriented, which makes the charm of the wooden railway rub off in a way it doesn't in any other set.
Good points there, Ted.
All right, we'll try.
All right, what I would like to say to this, first off, to begin my point here, and I'd like to give thanks to Ted for letting me do some parts of it too. Basically, one thing I'd like to say before I get into the sawmill stuff is that I'd like to say how this set is very natural. Like, you see a lot of sets, like really awesome sets that have a lot of like rare destinations or pieces you want, and they're kind of a little tricky to playlist because they're just so cluttered. You only really got like sometimes kind of like an outer circle you can just kind of go around with the train. Here, there are a lot of alternate routes you can take and a lot of different locations you can go to. You can go to docks, you can go to the viaduct, you can go to the bridge. Like, it actually feels very natural. I'm not going to bring much to mention the train stuff here, but they even found a little spot to put Harold on. Like, there's a lot you can do. Even like expand a little if you wish. The sawmill is one of the most, of course, prominent, most sought-after destinations in the whole range. And this is the first time I think I've ever seen it to where instead of just plopping the sawmill into its kind of its own section around some other items where it doesn't really fit around, they've actually made a very natural lumber yard. And you don't see, like, the sawmill itself already has a very unusual structure, but here they've actually managed to make it look like a very natural. And it in the other piece there, the logging dumper or whatever it's called.
The log loader, yeah.
The log loader, thank you. The log loader. They play off, they complement each other. It's like peanut butter and jelly, you know, like they just look so natural together. And like I said, play appeal is a very important thing. This thing has good visuals. It's got great items you can get your hand on. And there's a good variety of locations you go to. You go to the sawmill, you go to the docks, you can even includes the little viaduct things. So if you want to, yeah, you could even play a little bit of Magic Railroad here if you wanted to and break apart the viaduct. It's all these features are here. And this it's a very simple set when you really get down to it, but it's not always the amount of pieces you have. It's what you have and how you utilize it.
Okay,
so this is my favorite.
I immediately have a rebuttal for several of Multi's points, if that's okay.
All right,
Well,
let's hear them.
First of all, I don't like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Oh, I don't either.
Second of all, the docks? What docks? We got Cranky the Crane. There's no docks on this set. You just got Cranky kind of awkwardly hovering over a T-switch. In fact, my set actually is closer to the docks, has closer to a dock area than your set. Because if you look at the yearbook picture, you see there's like a water area underneath the double-wide old iron bridge, and the Sodor Bay tugboat is there. But also, that's just me being pedantic. We said we weren't going to talk about that. My bigger thing that I have to talk about with the sawmill, and you say that it's more carefully integrated in, and it doesn't feel just plopped in there. You're right, kind of, because if you look at the sawmill set, or the sawmill in this set, you notice that one of the tracks from the base of the sawmill is connected to everything else. but one of the tracks just ends in a buffer. There's no way to access that other line. It's just a random siding that's just there. There's no way to get any trains on or off that apart from literally picking them up and moving them. So that's just a useless siding there.
I actually agree with your point. However, I would say it does open up for a natural expansion. However, that does counter the point.
We're not talking about an expansion. We're talking about just the layout itself as it appears in the yearbook.
All right.
Valid argument.
Ted, what do you have to throw in here?
So my comments on it is a rebuttal to the dockyard point. We do, in terms of this, we have the thing that makes this superior dockyard to the one in your set is we have the element of height, almost in a U around the docks, with all the raised track elements and a track going under the bridge, and all coming down to the docks. You really have a sense of elevation going down to the docks, and all the three lines converging in a central simplified junction in a way. The whole concept of Wooden Railway is trying to simplify tracks, of course. So for me, the activity of a T-switch there just signifies something busier than a normal single line. And that allows it to really play off as a real proper dockyard in a way that most of the other sets of the 90s didn't do, in my opinion. So I believe strongly that it is actually a very strong dockyard. But the whole concept of having a set where you could feel really real industry happen, where you could say, here, it's not trying to do everything. Your set MPS is trying to do everything. It's a bit of everything. It's bridge over here, triple high over here, down low over here, bridge over there, station over here, different station there, shed here. It's all over the place, and because it's all over the place, it loses its core values and functions. It's trying to do too many things. Well, this is just a very simplistic and perfect, needing to take lumber from the lumber areas of the island to the harbor. And you can do that through different routes, through natural countryside, up a hill or under a bridge, but not up and over 10 different tracks.
And I know this might risk adding more to Ted's point, but I'm going to make this point anyways. I would like to also capitalize on that too by saying that bridge is great at really sectioning off that section to where if you just look at it naturally as a kid, you're using your imagination, it's really easy to not think about the other part of the set when you're at the docks because it's just it's blocked away with the bridge. It does make it, even if the docks is missing a lot, there's no boats or anything like that, but that just the smart utilization of that bridge to make it just feel like a docks, that is rather clever.
No one, with all due respect, I don't think anyone's going to be forgetting about the sawmill. And also, no one has rebutted my point about just the random siding that's just there.
It's the timeout siding. That's where engines go when they're bad.
Let's be
How
honest.
do they go there?
Whoever gives a bother to use 3 proper sawmill cars, and whoever did that as a kid, it is something that is not really expectable to happen and operate properly. It took a loss. It said, hey, it's going to be better for the set if I don't try to add in this function. It knew its limits, which is something your set really needs to learn.
Ooh. All I'm saying is it would be really easy to just add a switch at one of those 3.5-inch curves that just curves on into that siding there. That's all I'm saying.
But that would make it denser, more populated, and just lose its charm as a countryside set, which has very simplistic straight tracks and that nice harbor elements from the very simplistic track line in. And that is something that it took a loss on that one siding to achieve that.
All right. So can we just get closing arguments from each of you?
My closing argument is that I'm right.
My closing argument is they use Rocky, and that's where the bad trains go. That's the timeout siding.
My closing argument is the set that I've been discussing. It allows people to play with the concept of moving lumber to harbor in a simplistic countryside set without being trying to do 150 things at once, which boggles down the enjoyment of each individual component.
Alright, so this was another hard round. I gotta say, it was really between, once again, MPS and Ted for me, because I feel
Sorry,
like
Multi.
yeah.
Oh, no, you're good. I think Ted completely destroyed my argument. Like, I
I
mean,
think
you had
really
one
what
guy
got me.
bringing up a timeout section, and another guy talking about how it just adds to the simplicity. I think it's obvious who made the better point.
Alright, I mean, when it really came down to it, just based on argument, I gotta say, I think I'm gonna give this point to Ted. And the reason is that really that whole thing about simplicity and the idea of, like, because I've been glancing back and forth between both sets as you guys argue when I look at them. And while I think this, that MPS's set is really cool, it is kind of cluttered. You know, you have, like, bridges on top of things, and, you know, you have, like, a bridge right by, like, the station. It's like nothing has room to breathe. Like, Ellsbridge isn't even by a track. Stuff like that, where Ted's everything has a place. And yeah, it has that, like, one-siding. But I kind of like Ted's argument about how, you know, they decided, let's take a risk. Let's lose a bit of that. Let's lose, like, one little track in the sawmill to make the whole thing flow. And that point about the dockyards and everything and how it was just a beautiful lumberyard layout really sold it to me. So Ted is the winner of this round. All
Well
right.
fought.
Fourth round. So
Well fought. Good work, MPS, and good work, Multi.
Good battle, guys.
let's see if Multi can bring it back, because I think he still has it in him. So, we've been talking very positively, for the most part. And we've been talking about the best year TWR and the best yearbook layout. And, you know, let's pitch a new destination. So, unfortunately, we got to get a little negative. So, we're going to talk about the worst TWR destination. And we'll start with MPS.
I've started the last 2 rounds. Can we start with someone else?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Ted. That's right. Ted was the one who I wanted to
So, the thing that I am going to say is the worst destination, the first time I saw it was filming the Herald review with Rob. And both of our reactions when we saw it were just complete and utter loss of faith in the line and the direction of Wooden Railway, which has been proven. As I was talking before in the 99 set, we saw indicators. And this was the indicator in the direction of wood. So the thing that we saw was scenes of Sodor Tunnel 3-pack, which is 3 sheets of wood which are painted on destinations.
All right. And for those of you who are probably angrily typing, this is not a destination. I counted it as a destination. I said, basically, if Mattel calls it a destination, it calls it a bridge/tunnel, and I list those as part of destination, so it is technically a destination.
Sorry,
Yes.
I spaced out for a moment. What was Ted's selection again?
The scenes of Sodor Tunnel 3-pack.
Got it. Sorry, I spaced out for a second.
All right. Multi, your turn.
Okay. Now this one was hard, and unfortunately, I can't just say Mattel era. Unfortunately, I wish I could. It's a lot of them to choose from. Like, you think of the worst items out there, like some of the ones like, you know, the xylophone one, which is, in my opinion, very aesthetically beautiful, but it doesn't freaking work. You just waste a bunch of money on an item that doesn't even work. However, aesthetic can still go a long way for me, which is one reason why I didn't also include that one that's pretty much just wood cutouts, and it's just a glorified circle set with various layers. I don't remember what that one's called. For me, I'm just going to go with something that I just find to be rather boring and doesn't really give me the joy I like Wooden Railway. I like movie tie-in sets, but unlike the Magic Rare ones, I don't think this really is a really exciting tie-in to its special. And I'm going to go with the Fossil Discovery from Tale of the Brave.
All right. So, MPS, what is your worst destination?
Sorry, just give me 2 seconds. I'm pulling up a picture of the Fossil Discovery thing just so that I remember it. Oh, yeah, this is bad. Oh, God. God, Ted's one sucks, too. Okay. I'm
Seems
gonna
like
go.
2014's been the year so far.
Okay, well, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna say that mine maybe a bit of an unexpected one. I was originally gonna go with the bubble loader, but I feel like that one's like a no-dur one. I feel like that would
He realized that it was actually an amazing item midway through.
No, it would just be too easy, and I'd be here talking for hours about it. So I'm gonna go with the ice cream factory.
Oh,
Ooh!
that's gonna be interesting. All right,
Ooh.
so Multi, we'll start with you.
Like I said, it's even the worst items. Like MPS even just brought the bubble loader. It's still very aesthetically pleasing and it pops out in the layout for better or for worse, mind you. But it does. It's very memorable. Who remembers the fossil discovery? All it does is it's okay. So it's got according to the wiki, it tracks print dinosaur prints as well as one that can spin, revealing a fossil inside the rock. That's all it does. Like it's basically a glorified. You pass by it and it does a thing. I mean, it's all dinosaur themed. It just lacks everything like you want from Thomas. Not saying dinosaurs aren't cool, but there's just so many other things you could do with a fossil. Maybe have like a wood T-Rex or something you could build together and maybe have like an engine. I know this didn't happen special, but maybe like it hits a switch and like it falls to pieces or something. This just kind of feels like you could print out a picture of it with a printer, put it next to that item, and you get about the same effect.
All right, Ted, you go.
So everything Multi just claimed about the fossil discovery, crank it up to 110 for the scenes of Sodor. So if he says it doesn't pop out on the layout, well, at least it has a bit of a third dimension to it. The scenes of Sodor wooden walls are just blank walls with holes, which they hope you put engines through, and also places for elevated track to fit. These scenes that are painted of Sodor are more simplistic than the most simplistic early children illustrations you can find in any book, whether it's simplifications such as depicting Natford with a track with having a platform either side, not having two tracks with platforms, or to just depict extremely simplistic versions of the destinations and characters we know in the third dimension. This is the complete degradation of the Wooden Railway example here, as they no longer care to make things, model things. They would be much happier with just painting it on a wall in the second dimension and claiming that it's everything when it's actually nothing.
All right, MPS, you had the really interesting choice, so go into it a bit more.
So yeah, yours is all well and good. You know, Ted, I agree. Yours is pretty boring. Multi, yeah, it's lazy. But at least yours, if kids chewed on yours, then they wouldn't get fucking lead poisoning. My item was literally painted with lead paint. It was part of the lead paint recalls, and it was called back in 2007, and it was never re-released. They just said, screw it. We made this with lead paint. We screwed up so bad. We might have given kids lead poisoning that we're just not even gonna try again. Plus we got Sir Handel with his weird, disturbing looking original face with the giant grin. We got according to the Thomas Wooden Railway Wiki, I don't know. I never owned this item because my parents tried not to get me things that would poison me. Apparently, the barrels, the chocolate and vanilla, or the chocolate and strawberry barrels, were scratch and sniff. What the hell is that about?
Oh no! Yeah, smell that lead.
And we also why are they keeping the ice cream like in the barrel? Like the ice cream would melt. Like quite simply. Like it's a cool idea for an item, but as an item itself, it is a disaster.
It's ironic that the food destination has lead paint.
Inedible, baby.
Don't lick the scratch and sniff.
All right, so, get into tackling each other, why is your destination worse than everyone else's?
Okay, so, Matt, I do agree. It's kind of hard to beat poison. However, that applied to a lot of items. It wasn't just this. That was just kind of a chain-wide problem. However, with Midas, like, if you look at the play feel, I mean, this isn't too... I don't like comparing this to, say, the barrel loader, but at the same time, you pretty much have the same principle of it. You load up barrels with a very nice looking... This one's actually a little more extravagant. It's even got listed what it is, the ice cream factory. You get a unique character that isn't Thomas. It's not just another cargo car. It's a barrel car. It's a very memorable item, and I feel like it's got a lot of fun value to it, when you're not dying. But you go to, like, my item, you put it on a layout, and you pass it, and then that's done. You don't get to fiddle around with barrels. You don't get to utilize the barrels, and like with yours, you can use the barrels in other things, like you take it to a docks. You can use it at some other sort of thing to have a crane lift out of it. Mine, you look at it, you can't even really crash into it. You're afraid you might break the screen thingy you have on it. It's annoying. It looks like something that would really hurt if you dropped on your foot. Mine is boring as dirt.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still runs. It's a fossil set.
I don't know if you've ever physically played with the fossil discovery thing or not, but you're not going to break the screen thing. Like, come on, it's not made out of, like, it's not, like, that sensitive. Like, you can do whatever the hell with it, and you're not going to break it. And also, dude, dinosaurs are tight. Like, I don't care what anyone says, dinosaurs are sick. I would have really liked to have this item when I was a kid, and I know it's kind of unfair to just make it like a personal thing, but there's still a lot of cool things that you can do with this set. You can combine it with all the other dinosaur stuff that for some reason was coming out around that time with Andrew Brenner's weird like dinosaur obsession. You can combine all those things together and make like a really cool like dinosaur excavation area.
But I would counter that to say, with that awesome concept of dinosaurs, like I said before, with the fossils, like, made out of wood or something, like, you stack up and maybe have an engine crash, they could have done so much more with it, as opposed to just, you go by and it lights up, or spins.
Well, at least they did something. You can actually, it does light up, and you actually can play with the barrels, and it's not just painted on a singular dinosaur, and it's not just painted on an ice cream factory. The thing with your destinations are, they're still destinations. And MPS, I do have to say, I did want this as a kid for a long time. I did want this until I got more sensible with realistic destinations being a priority in my more recent years. But it's still a destination which ranks up there in the cool interactive destinations. It's unquestionable of that. I let the audience and James decide if it actually is something that is cool and they wanted to play with just from their instincts as a wooden railway collector and a kid. And for multi, it's something. It's not nothing. It has a third dimension. It has a feature. You can change it. It actually lights up when you go by. There is interactive features. Just complete idiocy of my destination is the fact that it is trying to be everything when it actually is nothing.
Right.
You want to talk about the complete idiocy of an item? How about painting it with lead paint? Okay, but also, aside from that point, I agree, Ted, yours is real bad. But if you look I'm looking on the Thomas Wooden Railway Wiki right now, and there's a lot of pictures of a bunch of different configurations that you can make with this. Like, yeah, it's pretty generic, just, 3 risers. But you can configure them in all sorts of different ways to create some really cool track combinations. You can send the ascending tracks snaking through each of the holes and going up and around and stuff like that. And, again, with mine, it's just, like, everything about it really just kind of doesn't work. I mean, yeah, it's cool. You want to have it when you're a kid because all kids love ice cream, and you're like, oh, I want the ice cream factory. But it doesn't work. And also the back of the box has Murdoch, and he just doesn't have a tender. It's just the front part of Murdoch. So, Judge, take that into your ruling that the back of the box is bad as well.
I'd like to say I didn't see that, Matt. It's like this actually, you can do some really sick things with a layout with it, even because like it does actually offer some play appeal, and I think yours has a lot of options to where you can go outside of what just the one concept. Mine, it's a scenic little stroll. Oh hey, a dinosaur, scary. Okay, I'm back. All right, just move along.
But
Move along.
It does that well. Mine doesn't do anything that it's meant to do well.
Again,
It has a track at 90. The one little piece of track connectors on the base of one of them is 90 degrees to the tunnel. So if you actually do put it in, and it's recommending with a rising track you put it in, it doesn't actually fit together. And if you actually do use all three of them in one after the next, like it's recommending, and it's kind of title pictures, an engine wouldn't get through the last hole. The very product information of it that it's sharing is made so it wouldn't actually work.
All right, so let's get the closing arguments. Well, this episode has gone on for a while because you guys have been really arguing it today. So let's just get some quick closing arguments.
My closing argument is buy the ice cream factory if you want your child to die.
My closing argument is there's lots of room for imagination and concepts you can create with their destination. Mine, I got a dinosaur and yet I'm somehow still sad.
All right, and Ted?
My closing argument is this destination is with the early shadows and early rumors of wood and design styles, design techniques, and design philosophy that we would see destroy the line in years to come by completely nullifying anything in the third dimension and nullifying the interactability and playability of the sets. And instead of having buildings and items, we just have painted on decals, which have become ever more prevalent.
James, I have a question.
Sure.
Are we allowed to say the name Thomas Wood here? Is that allowed on community radio?
Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so after this long debate, there was a time that I was like, okay, I think I know who I want to pick, but then I heard something, and then I was like, they have a point, but then then the person came back and argued again. And I'm sorry, this man is on fire tonight, but I have to give this one to Ted. Because really got you. He got you guys with the point. He got you guys with the argument of, hey, listen, it's trying to be everything, and it's nothing at the same time. Like with you, MPS, you can put that on a layout, and you can have some fun with it. It's interactive. You can put the barrels and load up the cars, even though you might die. Multi, yeah, it only lights up, but at least it does something. This, I'm looking at it, and it's trying to be like Knapford and like the Blue Mountain Quarry. It's trying to be like a layout of like flat pieces, and it's so boring and uninteresting. It's like your destinations are 3D, at least they exist. Like you could take like the fossil discovery, put it with like the fossil run set, and it'll look fine. Like it makes a nice look thing, and you could put the ice cream factory on a layout and people think it's cool. But like this thing, it just sticks out like an eyesore because it's like trying to be like all this and nothing. So
yeah, Ted definitely had the worst one.
I agree with that.
I have an advantage for my selection.
You had the best.
This is so obscure as well. If it wasn't for the one video we filmed with this, I would never remember it.
You had a good argument when you've managed to sell the other two on yours being the worst.
Yeah, there was definitely... Yeah, there was definitely a moment where I was thinking MPS when he brought up the fact that it was scratch and sniff. Just the idea of, like, letting children inhale paint fumes kind of scares me. So, it should scare anybody. All right, so even though we technically do have a winner because there's no way anyone else could win at this point, let's move on to the last question just for funsies.
Just for shits and giggles. Let's do it.
All right, so the last question is, which engine is represented the best in TWR? So this is a character, an item, and you're telling me that they look the best in TWR, that they got the best attributes about that character in TWR, whether it's a singular model or the character in general. So we'll start with Multi, since he is the underdog in this round, and let's see if he can at least finish with a point.
Okay, so to say this, I am going to go with the Wooden Railway Rosie.
Of course.
Yeah, I know. I'm biased. I won't deny, but let's be real here.
So Multi's basically disqualified from the game. Basically, it's just me and Ted for this last round. Then is what we're hearing.
Hey,
Let
says the
Multi
guy
argue.
who murdered Rosie in a blind rage. Anyways, to pretty much say, I mean, could you do it much better? I mean, it's got the same build as Thomas. Like, it's got all the details very smart, cleverly integrated into the Wooden Railway version. You got the raised roof. You got the slanted side tanks. You got the 3 domes. You got everything is just perfect about it. Like, it's got a very friendly, welcoming face. The color's right. Can you name anything wrong with this item? Maybe the eyes might be a little bit, but besides
you're
that,
talking about Rosie in general, correct? Not like a specific Rosie.
Oh no, I'm referring to the 2007 version.
All right, so
like the first release, the eyes there might be some subtle things, maybe not quite enough makeup, or maybe the eyes are just a little bit, but it has so much personality in the face. Like compared to some items, they're just looking straight dead ahead and stuff. And I personally feel like that they don't feel as alive. This one is probably one of the first earlier Wooden Railway items since the change happened, where a lot of the older items felt very alive, but I think when the rebrand happened in 2002, while there was a lot more detail added and some good faces, a lot more of the faces, probably because they were based off of promos, is they didn't feel as alive. This one actually feels like it's curious. You can really just look at this item. Even if you didn't know anything about this character, you could just look at its design, and you pretty much already know, like, this looks like a very friendly, welcoming character who's very curious of things. It already, even if you don't know anything about this character, you're going to already have an idea of what you're getting into, and it's got everything you need out of Wooden Railway. And I think out of all the brands, it probably has hit her the closest. Even Bachmann was a little long and the color shade was wrong. This one, it's small, it's compact, it's kind of like the Take Along Percy in some ways, where it's like, it's small, compact, but it hits all the right spots of that character.
All right, so MPS, you can go. And just for the sake of time, because we have been here for over an hour at this point, can you give a quick opening argument, and then we'll jump to Ted?
Yeah. 2005 D199. It's the perfect shape. It's got so much, like a ton of detail, and it's a Railway series character being portrayed very well in the Wooden Railway. Like, they didn't pull from the TV series. They pulled it from the Railway series, and they still made him accurate.
All right, Ted, you're up.
So, the engine I am selecting is Lady.
Are you picking a specific version or just Lady in general?
The original year 2000 release of Lady.
All right, so we got some interesting characters here. So, Ted, you start. Why Lady?
Well, this is some insider information which has been yet released to the internet. But on my recent meeting with
to the first time.
You heard it here first, folks.
You heard it here first. But when I was recently in Roy Wilson's house having a discussion with him, an item came up to his mind, and he said it was the last one he worked on. And he mentioned, not last one he worked on, but one of the ones he worked on in particular that struck in his memory. It was Lady. The reason why was because Roy was the first one to actually design and create Lady from the bases, images. So how the design process worked on Lady was that Britt sent a few bases to Roy. Roy made a few engines, Lady being one of them, sent it back to Britt, and Britt could decide which ones she wanted to move forward with for her projects. Lady was selected after the Wooden Railway toy. Roy, when we showed him the images of Lady, said there's one small difference in the headlights, in the golden things on the left and right. And other than that, it's exactly how he designed her. And in addition, it's the toy was designed before the engine. The engine was designed around what Roy designed for the toy.
All right.
You can't get more accurate than that.
Okay. Have at it. We'll just let you guys go for a couple of minutes, then I'll ask for closing arguments. I'll decide, then we'll announce Ted's victory.
I would like to make a counter argument to Matt,
Ted?
because D261 was actually going to be my pick before I changed it. Which is interesting. One reason I changed it was because if we're talking about what character is best represented in Wooden Railway, if you compare it to other brands, you have the Erdl D261, which is arguably, it's more detailed. It's longer.
D199.
Yeah, he did D199.
Oh, well. I'm sorry. Wow, I've had my idiot moment of the day. Okay, you good? I lose, folks. Been great being on the show.
All right, so multis now. MPS, you go.
Wow, that was unfortunate. Basically, I've said it before in my very brief opening statement, but I think that D199, I especially love that he has a ton of detail, especially on his roof. Like, all the detail is just, I'm switching back and forth between pictures of D199 from the Railway series and the model, the Wooden Railway model, or sorry, the toy, because, Wooden Railway toys, they're not models. Get a girlfriend. And it's just, all the detail is recreated so accurately, plus the fact that they kept the yellow face is so cool, because there's very few other Wooden Railway items. Most of the Wooden Railway items just have the gray face. But they stuck to their guns, and they kept D199 with the yellow face, which I just think is something that is really cool and is really admirable, and it really makes this item unique.
All right. Ted, hop in.
Pardon?
Hop in.
So my counter to MPS's points is D199 was much more rounded. Just to clarify, are you talking about the original incarnation or the later incarnation?
I'm talking about the second one, the 2005 version.
Thank you very much. Well, to specify there, on the face in particular, to do the face properly from the Railway series, it's really in line and flush with the side of the model. It still did an embedded plastic face. In my opinion, it should have been a painted-on face. It's much similar to the Railway series diesel faces were much closer to a coach face than it were to the engine face. So I would rebut your point with the yellow face. In my opinion, it's much closer to a troublesome truck face in terms of the white face or the gray face, or much more similar to an Annie Clarabelle face, and should have been done in that method. So that is where I see it not accurate. And I've made my point clear that Roy confirmed to me that he designed Lady around 1996. And the first images that and this has not been independently validated outside of my meeting with Roy. There is other people who could confirm Roy said this in Vinny, in Conductor Fan Set of Numbers, and in and the Flying Pringle,
And
as well as
the others.
And anyways, so it has not been independently validated by external sources from Roy Wilson, but his story lines up perfectly with the timeline. So it is still my strong belief that the Wooden Railway model of Lady was made before the movie models were made. So in this case, the model was the Wooden Railway model was the OG depiction from which the show had to be accurate or not.
All right, so just closing arguments. MPS 10, and I guess Multi if you want to say something.
Here's what I want to say. D261 is not D199.
All right.
Ted, would you
yes?
like to, or I'll let Ted go next.
I'm good.
Oh.
You have nothing else to say?
I hold my case.
All I'm saying is, if you think it's a little bit unfair that Ted is using secret information that no one else has ever heard before against us, then comment #UnfairTed in the comments below.
And if you think MPS is trying to use jokes because I told him I was going to use this information and ask if it was okay before the show, message in the comment. Ted was right. Lol.
Hashtag unfair Ted.
Hashtag fair Ted.
All right. Not that this is gonna make much of a difference, but I mean, this was Ted. This was just your night. I mean, the fact that you can't get much better than the toy was literally made, and then the model came after. Like the model is based off the toy. Like you don't get better than that. I mean, there's nothing you can do closer. So yeah. You would get the point. So the final score with 4 points dominating this first episode of Thomas Battles is Ted. I mean, Ted, you came out the gate tonight strong.
God, how did I pull that off?
Congrats. That was
freaking
incredible
crazy.
what you just achieved.
There's so
Well
much
done, Ted.
crap up about the sets and stuff I was talking about.
In second place, with only 1 point,
With
we have
1 point.
MPS, the former Thomas Battles runner.
This is why I was the host and not a competitor.
And with
This
third
was
place as
payback
the
for
first
judging
official
the loss
loser
in
of
that
Thomas
first battle.
Battles, we have Multi.
Well, if you're gonna be a loser, might as well be the first one. At least you'll be
Yes.
first to something.
All right, this was a great episode,
MPS lost
guys.
first.
So do you guys have any plugs that you guys want to say real quick before I wrap this thing up?
Rainbow Station, check it out.
I'll say Take this man. Give it up for this man. Give him your love and support in the comments, everyone.
Just search on YouTube Rainbow Station. Has some great crash videos, some great unboxing. I think I saw a Jello video or two that was pretty cool.
Ted, you were amazing.
Hey
All
guys,
right.
Be sure to check out Oliver Duck while you're at it too. He's got good stuff coming.
Just check out Oliver Duck Extras.
Hey guys, my name is 1646010. Please make sure to check me out. I'm an up-and-coming user. I'm really hoping I can get big in the community, so just check out my channel.
And P.S. please don't delete my wiki page.
These are some layered references here. All right, guys.
There's some
so
deep
this has
lore
been
to this.
a great episode of Thomas Battles. I'm glad all of you could come and watch. Stay tuned next week as we have another thrilling installment of Thomas Battles. This is your host, TrainKing James, signing off. Say goodnight, everyone.
Later, everyone.
Hashtag Ted Unfair.